Once you've clicked the magic link in the email that you receive, you will come to a homepage that looks like this. At the top, you will be welcomed with your name and your organisation underneath. On the left-hand side, you will see a tab that looks like this, which is your overview dashboard for your ticketing, and this will take you through to your ticketing dashboard. And this is what your overview dashboard looks like. At the top of the page, you will find a date configuration. You will have a default date range, as the small owl is telling you, that is the last full quarter versus the same quarter in the previous year. But you're able to change this by clicking the edit button on the right-hand side. The first thing that you need to pick is your primary date range. And this is really useful if you're trying to create any kind of funder reporting or any statistics for your board. So we'll keep this as it is, but you can choose whatever date range you would like. And it's important to note that the comparison period will automatically select the same period from the previous year. So if you are wanting to cut your comparison period to be a specific period rather than like for like year on year, just make sure to untick this button and you'll be able to start that comparison period from whatever date you'd like. For this example video, we'll keep the primary date range as the default, which is the final quarter of the 23-24 financial year. Moving down the dashboard, there are 3 metrics that you will notice. But before we go into those, I just want to draw your attention to the right-hand side, of which you will see a primary and comparison, and then benchmark primary and comparison key. The primary and comparison date ranges are those date ranges that you've just set above. So for this example, it's the last quarter of 23-24, and the comparison is the last quarter from 22-23. And then the benchmark primary and comparison data is made up of ticket data from 10 similar sized organisations from the time date range you've selected. Moving down the page, the first section that you're going to come to is your sales data. The information that you'll find in this section relates to your bookers, your income, tickets, and average ticket yield from the time period that you selected above. Following on from this section, you'll be introduced to the profile of your audiences using our segmentation model, Audience Spectrum. If you've never used Audience Spectrum before, you're able to read an introductory guide here by clicking through on this button. But scrolling further down, if you are sure, if you just want to view this data, you'll see this nice chart. This chart looks at your audiences in the nice bright colours, red, yellow and blue, against the people who live in your catchment area in the kind of grey underneath. And it gives you an idea of how engaged each segment is with your organisation. In the top right corner, you'll find a hamburger menu, which gives you a range of options to download this chart in a way of your choosing, for funder reports or any kind of reporting that you need to do for your organisation. So now you know the profile of who you are reaching. This section allows you to understand the top 3 segments within your community you're not engaging with based on the number of potential bookers in your catchment area. The information in this section could be used to develop marketing and/or audience development plans. To find out more about each of these segments, you can click through underneath to go through to one of our pen portraits on each segment, or alternatively, to learn about all of the segments that you've just seen above, you can click this button to be taken through to the pen portraits for all of them. Moving on to the final section of the ticketing report, where we've got the place section. And this is where your audiences are coming from. So it allows you to monitor your catchment area and see how it's changing based on audience travel patterns. It's measured by the primary and the comparison, and gives you the distance in kilometres that you and your comparators are reaching, and then also gives a pre-COVID reference. The pre-COVID reference is that we're still finding that organisations are liking to compare their data from now to before the pandemic to see whether or not they're reaching the same or more audiences than they were before. Finally, to bring your attention to one last section of the report is the key at the bottom. So you may have noticed on some of the information going through the report, there were small little numbers next to each part. At the bottom of the page, you're able to find what that relates to and click at the side, which will take you to where that small number is for.